that HEX is an ERC20 token that is controlled almost entirely by a handful of billionaires. And those billionaires have concocted a scheme by which they can avoid taxes, launder money, and hopefully trick a lot of rubes out of giving them money.
We start off Beau's video with extreme allegations not backed up by the evidence. I'd ask him to back up the claims he makes in these two sentences. Which billionaires is he referring to? How is HEX avoiding taxes or laundering money? Everything literally exists on the blockchain. While it is true, there is a degree of centralization comparable to Bitcoin or Ethereum. There's no evidence to suggest that a cabal of billionaires is behind the product. As a matter of fact, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a HEX investor, certainly one that's been in it since the beginning, that isn't satisfied with their decision. One way to measure it is Trustpilot, the independent platform that was founded in 2007, the purpose of which is to transparently help gauge consumer confidence in products and websites and businesses. And HEX is currently ranked 4.9 out of 5 stars based on several hundred reviews.
Like I said, it looks a lot more like a religion than it does like your traditional Ponzi scheme. And in that religion, Richard Heart is a messianic figure.
Beau proceeds to spend the next several minutes using comedy to present Richard in a negative light, using quotes and clips that are taken out of context. Richard is his own man with his own thoughts, ideas, feelings, sense of humor, and personality. Through HEX, Richard has created a community in which he's the most important figure. No one in the community would dispute that, and many of us like him and enjoy his banter. Of course, with any community, there are both sides of the spectrum. Now, I don't know of anyone who worships the man per se, but there are certainly those with a level of devotion greater than a majority of us. And of course, there are those on the other end who merely use him and his price calls to profit from trading, contrary to what he preaches. I think it's fair to say Richard is comparable to other tech figures such as Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, just to name a few. And those men all have their own fan bases too, and some fans take it further than others. One thing you cannot argue is Richard is much more open to his community and much more communicative and transparent. None of this is wrong. In fact, the Leadership Quarterly released a study last year confirming what common sense tends to tell us. To quote, business leaders tend to be higher in narcissism, a personality trait characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance, a strong desire for power, and a propensity for manipulative behavior. Sure, these are not all savory traits from every perspective. Rather, they just are. Frankly, these traits often cause businesses to succeed in a competitive marketplace.
The third argument he makes is that the only way to really save people from scammers is to make something else and make it good, but also market it like a scam, because if you keep their money in a place where they can't touch it, then they won't have any money to get scammed with.
Imagine if there was a product that you could buy it and it would stop your weak-handed ass from selling your future. And then you would have the most price-performant asset in the world still in your hands because you didn't sell it in a 2x when it did a 6,000x.
It's something he doesn't often say unless he's very angry, but what he is usually trying to communicate is that you are too dumb to make investment decisions yourself. He, however, is one of the smartest men to have ever lived, and he's made millions and billions of dollars, and he has a giant cock. So you should listen to him, because otherwise your weak-handed ass would just lose all your money.
Richard has a marketing background that goes back years, way before he got involved in the cryptocurrency space. Beau actually summarized Richard's positions fairly in that Richard has concluded that regulatory bodies are unsuccessful in going after scams in the space for a number of reasons. This is a problem that exists in the space and has existed for years. One, the SEC doesn't have enough time, resources, or broad-ranging authority to effectively stop or combat all the scams in the space. Two, the amount of effort required to preemptively stop the public at large from participating in these scams is also effectively prohibitive. Therefore, it stands to reason that there exists a solution and that you instead come up with a product that uses aggressive marketing tactics to entice individuals that would otherwise be susceptible towards that marketing to begin with. As the product does well by these early adopters and the network effect begins to take hold, product should only grow in value over time. In any event, what Beau glosses over here is the voluntary aspect of the product itself, in an attempt to negatively frame the intentions of the intervention that Richard has posited, with much success so far, might I add. And once again, make a swipe at Richard personally, he neglects to mention that there are no compulsory aspects to the product. Let me make it more simple. No one has to buy HEX. No one has to stake HEX. There are benefits to doing these things, however, and both of these things so far have outweighed the risks historically over the past 2+ years. As of the making of this video, had you purchased HEX when it was released, you would be up 427x approximately, according to lookintohex.com. People can disagree over tactics or personality, but they cannot disagree over price performance. The numbers don't lie.
It becomes incredibly apparent the more and more you watch Richard Hart that he really only cares about himself. He says that he gives people out free books and free YouTube videos, that he makes price calls for free, but it feels like all that does is serve the narrative that he is the greatest person alive and that everybody should listen to him and invest in the things that he builds.
This is incredibly short-sighted and dismissive. Richard Hart's books and many of his videos were released before HEX. Both of his books, Sci-Vive and Fix the World, revolve around self-help and global solutions, respectively. Again, Beau seems more concerned with the negative frame he's building around Richard rather than being accurate in his criticisms. I'd encourage people not to take my word for it. There's more going on with Richard than HEX, though it's undoubtedly a big part of his life story. Go to his website, richardhart.com. Check out his oldest YouTube videos. Hey, ask the man yourself. He's open and often communicates with people on Twitter and Telegram. It's not unreasonable for someone to suspect ulterior motives, specifically of people that are wealthy, but Beau in particular comes across as jaded. Why wouldn't someone expect their audience to listen to what they have to say? Why wouldn't someone expect their audience to support, purchase, or promote the things that they build? Does Beau regularly put out videos telling his audience that they shouldn't listen to him or support him? In fact, unlike Richard, Beau asks for donations and has a Patreon that he promotes. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, of course, but it's curious to me that someone is asking their audience to donate to them, and they're also concerned about the scammy motivations of someone that doesn't. Richard, to my knowledge, has never asked anyone for a donation or charged for his content, price calls, or videos. This is generally not the mark of a scammer. Scammers will often take money from their victims in any way they can.
Going around teaching people, spreading the good word. This is basically the Great Commission. I mean, that's what Jesus says to his followers in Matthew. And right there, Jesus, like Richard Hart, is saying, we need more followers, get more people in on this. And whereas Jesus was selling people like eternal life after death, Richard Hart is just selling people tokens, which to be fair is a lot more tangible, but maybe not as impactful. But this is what makes HEX a religion, or as Tone Vase put it, an affinity scam. Now, I don't think the analogy of an affinity scam is perfect, just like the analogy of a Ponzi scheme is not perfect, but in an affinity scam, there is a charismatic leader who sells to their followers something of absolutely no value, which their followers imbue in value because they hold the charismatic leader in such high regard. And I think Richard Hart knows that his fate is tied to the fate of his community.
Again, Beau unnecessarily aggrandizes and exaggerates what is a fairly consistent and reasonable position from Richard here. Richard wants people to buy the product he designed, developed, and founded. Richard wants human attention and praise. Where's the crime? How is this not in line with what we would expect from anybody? Consider Maslow's hierarchy of needs and how it lists esteem at number 4. meaning after we fulfill some of our more basic needs, such as sustenance, security, and love and belonging, we as human beings all tend to search for self-respect and respect from others. Appreciation, status, recognition, whatever you want to call it, it's very reductive to claim that Richard is like Jesus Christ and that he wants people to follow him and encourages his fans to promote and purchase the products that he designed and the philosophies he has on life. A case can certainly be made that Richard isn't a humble man. He's someone that thinks highly of himself, and for better or for worse, and he'll be the first one to tell you that. But he's also quick to tell you if he doesn't have knowledge in a particular area.
Make sure their minimum stake is 2 years, or if they just need the money. If things go south and someone goes to the hospital or someone loses a job, don't let their weak-handed ass get out.
HEX is sold as a CD-like product. The product is and always has been marketed as a savings account of sorts. It's unfair of Beau to take a cheap shot here through cherry-picking videos to frame a discussion as though the community is amused at the misfortune of others. And price volatility happens with every cryptocurrency. That's part of being in the space. HEX has never shied away from this and always informed anyone interested in investing in the product of that. It's been on the website since day one, unlike Bitcoin, Ethereum, or many other projects in the space. As an aside, I would never ever advise anyone to purchase anything crypto related with a short-term time frame. Frankly, there are few times when I would ever advise anyone to have a short-term mindset about anything. Now, perhaps Beau may think short-term investing or flipping coins is a valid strategy. I don't know. No one in the HEX community certainly has this mindset, and no one I know promotes this, and Richard certainly doesn't.
Richard Heart likely controls the origin address, which has over 50% of the entire HEX supply, the sacrifice address for Pulse, which has over $27 billion in it, and the sacrifice address for PulseX, which right now has about $1 billion in it. Why was he given all this control? Because people expect him to continue acting like this.
And what is the last sacrifice phase done with the HEX? Just sat on it, didn't sell it. So aren't you very lucky that there appears to be some address which just absorbs HEX and doesn't dump it? Now, hey, no crystal ball, right? But the chain analysis shows that the origin address has never sold a HEX and that the sacrifice address has never sold a HEX. So aren't you really, really, really happy, thank your lucky stars, that there's something out there rewarding you in a way entirely different from everything else that was sacrificed? Because the chain analysis would show that the vast, vast, vast majority of everything else sacrificed was turned into stablecoins.
Beau spends this part of the video attacking the intentions of the sacrifice phases for both Pulse Chain and PulseX. He begins with shadily conflating moderators in Richard's live stream chats and Richard himself blocking/banning certain viewers, with Richard not truly supporting free speech. Although he takes the time to point out that people need tools to keep chats free of spam and antisocial behavior, Beau is largely dismissive of the intentions of the sacrifice phase because there is no laissez-faire approach to the live stream chats. The bigger point Beau is trying to make here, though, is that he believes Richard controls a vast majority of the accounts and tokens associated with HEX and the Pulse Chain sacrifice address and the PulseX sacrifice address. The fact of the matter is, this is speculation, but it is certainly a possibility. The origin address, aka the OA, is a feature, not a bug. The OA has thus far acted benevolently in behalf of the success of the product. It also appears to slowly but surely be getting diluted over time. Additionally, anyone who plays around in the crypto space is faced with similar centralization factors that loom over your head. It doesn't really matter what promise coin, exchange, or product that you invest in. In Bitcoin, Satoshi owns and controls over 1 million BTC. There's USDT and USDC, which are both centrally controlled and can be frozen at will. There's even popular altcoins like BNB, FTT, CRO, where 95+% is owned in the top 100 wallets. Beau features and seems to promote Celsius Network, for instance, as an option to earn interest. More than 98% of Cell tokens are held in the top 100 wallets. Many of his criticisms ring hollow when you consider his YouTube history. So it's curious that he has such an issue with the OA in HEX. In HEX, the top 100 wallets own less than 50% of the coins. And every day we watch as coins distribute to new users and the amount of stakers increase. This is all verifiable on the Ethereum blockchain, and I encourage those interested to check out hexdailystats.com for more information. One last point is, I think, worth bringing up. There's currently a $1 million bet that anyone is welcome to take advantage of. A wealthy HEX investor, Rakam Rochelle, has an outstanding bet that has been open since August 21st of last year. It states that Richard Heart will not rug pull the Pulse Chain network. It has been brought to Crypto Beau's attention, though to my knowledge he has never acknowledged or responded to it.
Yes, it is true that anything viewed from high enough up looks like a Ponzi scheme, including the US dollar and Bitcoin, but this one really looks like a Ponzi scheme. And I think it's because the vast majority of the wealth is concentrated in so few hands. Not only that, but there's this added level of obfuscation with HEX, where we don't really know who the participants are. We know that there are several very wealthy individuals, but we don't know which wallets are theirs or how many wallets they control, including the order.
But we do know which wallets are the OA and which wallets the OA has interacted with. All blockchain data has been thoroughly scrutinized for over 2 years. There's an OA audit done by the community. There's an active Telegram channel with several thousand users that does chain analysis of all major HEX transactions, and it's open to everybody to join. There have been 2 security audits and 1 economics audit of HEX before the product was even released. Simply put, the concern trolling that Beau and others have engaged in, it's been done many times by many people. Every day it grows less and less likely that these fears are based in reality, but rather that they're desperate attempts to smear Richard Heart, HEX, and the people who have invested in HEX.
Like I said before, you cannot sell $27 billion worth of HEX, not for USDC, not for Ether, not for anything. The most you can sell is maybe, let's say, $30 million. But when you sacrifice it, you end up with an incredible amount of control over the Pulse chain. But what is going to happen is these handful of billionaires that sacrifice together $27 billion of HEX for Pulse chain will end up with an outsized control over Pulse chain that they never had to sell their HEX for.
Those that participate in the Pulse Chain and PulseX sacrifices must know that they are doing so for the principles outlined in their respective websites. These sacrifices are clearly presented as political statements and nothing further. Those part of the sacrifice set receive points in accordance with the market value of their sacrifice amounts. While it is true that there are those sacrificing simply because they appreciate Richard Heart's products, or that they see the value propositions of Pulse Chain or PulseX, that's not why the sacrifice was created. There are no expectations derived from the work of others. We do see the value in delayed gratification. There is no realistic worry that some billionaire cabal is conspiring to destroy the creations that teams have spent countless hours of laboring and working on just out of spite. Mostly because logic dictates that people look out for their own interests, first and foremost. Crypto Beau wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants people to worry that Richard Heart controls the origin address and will one day destroy all that he and his team has built in exchange for a few $1 million. Yet earlier in this video, he was trying to score points, attacking the character of Richard for bragging about his wealth. That's the thing though, Richard is already a rich man. He's spent the past year going above and beyond to exhibit how wealthy he is by showing his audience things. This was a strategic move. Not only does showing off expensive brands expand his audience to include those that are drawn to more expensive luxury items, it also confirms to the viewer that Richard has the wealth to acquire and flaunt millions and millions of dollars of things. Millions of dollars in luxury watches, a Ferrari Roma, Louis Vuitton clothing, designer handbags and luggage, Swarovski crystals, jewelry, the list goes on and on. You have to realize Richard Hart is not purchasing these items with HEX. The man is not enriching himself with HEX. He has no need to do so. Why would he rug pull the product that he put blood, sweat, and tears into? I mean, why would he? Why would Elon Musk destroy Tesla? Why would Bill Gates destroy Microsoft? The founders of these companies didn't destroy their lives' work for a payday. They wanted to make an impact on the world. And Richard Hart is cut from the same cloth.
And I'm not saying it's a scam. I'm not saying it's a bad investment. I'm not even saying what they're doing is illegal, because I don't know that it is. What I'm saying is that if you are invested in HEX, Pulse, and PulseX, you trust Richard Hart. You have to. There's no other way.
Of course we do. Those that invest in Bitcoin trust in Satoshi Nakamoto, either wittingly or not. Those that invest in Ethereum trust in Vitalik Buterin, either wittingly or not. Those that hold US dollars are trusting in the full faith and credit of the United States government. This isn't a revelation, Beau. He then proceeds to explain how cryptocurrency is about trustless, decentralized networks. And we agree on that point. But the devil's in the details. I've already gone through explaining how everything in this world, to a degree, has centralized weak points. We can only strive to do the best we can. There is no perfect answer out there. Fiat isn't it. Gold isn't it. Bitcoin isn't it. Ethereum isn't it. And HEX isn't it either, frankly. But I contend it's far and away the best answer there is out there today. You face risks in every system known to man. The only way to mitigate those risks is to try and eliminate all possible intermediaries between you and your wealth. HEX simply does the best job at eliminating those intermediaries while continuously growing more decentralized by the day. You know, there is an argument to be made that Bitcoin is more decentralized than HEX. But it's not decentralized to the degree that whales can't manipulate it. There's definitely increased risk in terms of security flaws, outdated code, Mt. Gox, inferior price performance, and Satoshi's coins, just to name a few things.
Richard Hart's a person that says he wants to get rid of the banks, but doesn't really want to get rid of the banks. He's just mad at them that they're not him. He wants to be the banks. He like Crypto.com or Nexo or Celsius, just the next iteration of the same. And so if you want to support a better world where a handful of billionaires are still in control of fucking everything, it's just a different set of billionaires, then go ahead, invest in Pulse, invest in HEX, watch Richard Hart's live streams, buy his free books, but I will not.
Unless you're getting kickbacks from shelling your Celsius referral link, that is, or your Gemini one, or begging for donations. Look, I made this video because I have come to a very different conclusion about Richard Hart and HEX. It's no secret that I strongly disagree with Crypto Beau. I was in such disagreement that I took it upon myself to do a response video, something I've never done before. Beau offers no solutions in his video. From what I gleaned browsing through some of his content, I'm convinced he's clout chasing. This proud, principled stance that he ends the video with may seem genuine, but look at some of the videos he's released maybe just a month prior to the video he just released. How to earn interest on your crypto, best methods for 2022, where he promotes centralized exchanges like Gemini, BlockFi, and Celsius, all with his referral links included, of course. To be fair to Beau, he goes out of his way to strongly advise against using centralized exchanges, but he's not too proud to take money from them or recommend them for newer or more experienced users. In any event, this is a response to Beau, but it's also more of a rebuttal to the character assassination of Richard and the attempts at attacking Hex. Beau is undoubtedly an intelligent individual that spent a lot of time creating this video. I actually think he's got a pretty good grasp of the crypto space. And we probably see eye to eye on more things than not politically. That being said, this video is more dishonest than honest. He's more concerned with painting Richard into a bad light and supporting his ultimate conclusions of him rather than interested in presenting a fair evaluation of the man and his product. To those watching, I encourage you to learn more about Richard, about Hex, and the community of people that support it, like me. I'll include some links in the description below, and everyone have a lovely day. Bye.